Happy Friday, everyone. Hope you are well. We are back again. I'm just going to pin this comment. Hi, Katie. How are you? I'm just going to pin this comment. Pin. And. Oh. Hi.
Yay!
Yay. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great on this Friday.
I always, it takes me a while to get this all situated.
Take your
So
time. You are perfectly fine. Take your time.
I apologize.
No, do not. You are fine.
You're so sweet. There we go. Now you can see me. Yes. How are you today?
I can't complain. It was a pretty productive day, so it's a great start to the weekend.
So where are you, Elizabeth? Where are you
How about
located?
yourself?
Where?
How about yourself? How was your Friday?
Oh, it's fabulous. Fabulous. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll just orientate the listeners. So listeners, I'm here with Katie Nall, and I when I was looking over some of the information, I immediately knew I wanted to talk to her because she does this thing called dissolving waffles, and I said, well, what is that? And so obviously I was like, I need to know more. And so Katie is going to talk to us about what waffles are. And waffles, for those of you you don't know, are not food, but they are a social right? Oh darn. They're about our emotions. And so she's going to break down what that means, as well as show us about tapping, what that is and how we can use that to help us in our time of stress and stuff like that. And I think that's so on point because it seems like people were less stressed in the middle of the pandemic. And now that we're exiting, it's like people are just like even more stressed. And I don't think the world expected that. But before I put the cart before the horse, welcome, Katie.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and on your amazing live Instagram. It's so much fun.
Well, thank you. And Katie, I know you're a PhD, so would you rather go by Dr. Knoll or
You
I'm
can
sorry,
call me
Knoll?
Katie. That's
All
fine.
right.
Yeah, as long as you genuflect when you call me, that's fine. No, I'm teasing.
Not at all. And so to welcome everyone to Coffee and Combos, I always like to ask them, are you a coffee or a tea person? Like, what is your favorite cup?
So I'm a tea person, and my favorite cup is rooibos.
Oh, that's like a nice, strong, warm. Yeah. Is that kind of like how you are, just kind of like just warm and oh, I love a rooibos.
Yeah, I'm a chill kind of person. No, I'm not chill at all. My husband says it's really good that I talk about dissolving waffles because he says I don't get stress, but I'm a carrier. Everyone around me gets it.
So tell us, what are waffles?
So, and it's Elizabeth, right? Do you go by Elizabeth? Is that right? Yeah.
Liz or Elizabeth is perfectly fine.
Okay. Our daughter is Elizabeth and she goes by Liz. So I always ask. Um,
Ah,
yeah. Um, it took me a long time as a mathematician to explain to people that I help them relieve stress because when they
mm-hmm,
heard that, they immediately thought that it was some kind of prescription or there was something
mm-hmm.
going on. No, 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 no. I'm a mathematician. So I came up with what I do is I help people show people how to dissolve their waffles, dissolve their worries, anxiety, fear, frustration, lethargy, exhaustion, and stress. And you are so right, Elizabeth. We with the pandemic going
Mm-hmm.
on, the stress level has just gone through the
Right.
roof. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So the way I do that is I work with something called tapping or emotional
Mm-hmm.
freedom technique. And I found it I'm a late in life student. I went back to school in my mid-50s to earn my PhD in mathematics education. And I wanted to help people overcome their fear and anxiety about math and tests. And I couldn't find anything until in 2010, I saw Nick and Jennifer Ortner's Tapping Summit, watched all 10 days, bought the book, bought the DVD, and said, I have no idea if this is going to work or not, because they talked about how you can help your finances, relationships.
Yeah.
All these things. Nobody talked about math or test anxiety. And I was like, oh, will this work or not?
And like, that's a real thing, because like, I am not a good test taker. I can study, whether it's open book, like, so I am all here.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working at a college at the time, and I had a long line of students who came in and they said, I only have one class left to graduate. I said, that's great. Let's get you settled. And they said, and it's math. I said, how smart is that? You saved the best for last. Well, Elizabeth, that's not what they were thinking. So I found this tapping thing, and I said, well, let's try it, because the students were desperate. And as you and I know, desperate clients are always the best, right?
Because they're willing to, they're like, I want, sometimes they're
right.
like, I want to work. And sometimes they're just like, no, I'm too overwhelmed.
Right. We'll try anything.
Right.
So we tried it, and the students who tried it came back and they said, I've never gotten 100 on a math exam before. I got an A in my class. I passed the class. Elizabeth, I don't know who was more surprised, them or me. I had no idea. So I said, I'm not quite sure what this is, but I think I need to get some training, because I don't have any idea what I'm doing. And it's turned out I went back and I got training, and I didn't have any idea what I was doing. And it was still working. So I went back and I got training in level 1, level 2, level 3, trauma, quantum. That's a whole nother, that's exciting. And now I'm a master trainer, because once I got started, I was like, you know what? I just want to train everybody in this, because it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Yeah. It took me 4 years working full time at the college to earn my PhD in math education.
Yeah.
It took me 8 years working at the college to become a master trainer in tapping.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, there was a lot to it. So.
Oh my God. So it sounds like you went into it just about like test anxiety, found out that like, wow, this was working for a whole gambit of issues. And so is it because we hold so much tension in our body? Like, tell me more about tapping. Like, I'm like so fascinated.
I know, I'm excited about it too. So Elizabeth, if you think about emotions, if you think about the word emotions, it's actually energy in motion, right? Mm-hmm. And so when we have a positive emotion, like falling in love, or we're happy, or we're joyful, or we're excited about something, we have that feeling, and then it dissipates, right? It kind of moves away. But then when we have anger or frustration, or we're upset or disappointed, some reason those feelings get stuck, and we don't know why.
Yeah.
I have a hypothesis that I think when we are quite small and we're 2 or 3 years old and we're playing with a toy, and another little child comes to take our toy away, and we don't want them to take our toy. So we grab it back. And what happens to our parents? What do they say? You need to learn how to share. Don't behave that way. So I think as a young child, we have these negative emotions like frustration or anger or whatever. And then on top of it, we have, oh, my parents are upset with me, or do they still love me? And we have all these other negative emotions.
Yeah.
So when we have a negative emotion like frustration, it just is still stuck in there under all those other layers. So what tapping does, it is a somatic method. That means it does work in the body. And if it's okay with you, I'd love to do a demonstration.
Yay. We love demonstrations.
Okay. Okay,
All right.
so what we'll do is we'll start with, I'll just show you the points that we're going to tap on, and we
Okay.
physically tap on parts of our body, and then I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. Are you ready?
All right. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. So we're going to start on the side of the hand between your wrist and your little finger. So you can
Okay.
use either hand, it doesn't matter. So have your palm facing you, and then on the
Okay.
side of the hand between your wrist and your little finger, you're going to take
Hmm.
your other hand and tap right there. That's right. You're going to tap there. And for those who are watching or who are watching later, you can do this along with us and just see how this feels. And when
And
we do,
listeners, as you're doing this, put in the comment, how is this affecting you? Any questions, please drop them in the comments.
yeah, let us know. Um, and what will happen is when we add words, there's a sentence that we're going to put here, Elizabeth, and actually we're going to repeat the sentence 3 times. Okay.
Okay.
Next place we're going to tap is right on the top of our head, right
Okay.
on the crown of the head. Now you can use one hand or the other hand or do both, kind of like a monkey and go both ways. It doesn't matter.
Ooh.
Whatever feels good, just tap right there on the top of the head. Now I'm going to warn you, I'm going in for a close-up, okay? So we're going to go, next spot is on the edge of the eyebrow, right above the nose. And again,
Uh-huh.
you can use one hand or the other or both or cross them, however you want to do. But it's on
This
the
is
edge
kind
of
of
the eye.
relaxing. I'm not going to lie.
There you go. And then the next spot is on the side of the eye between your eye and your hairline, the edge of your eye and hairline. You got it.
Oh,
That's it.
I can tell. I could listen. Next time I have a migraine. Next time
This is
I'm going.
great for migraines. Yeah, yeah. And then the next spot is where I keep all my bags for ready retrieval, and that's right under my eyes. You go right under your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then our next spot, Elizabeth, is above our lips, below our nose, right
Okay.
there.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then it's under our lips, above our chin.
Okay.
Okay. And then next thing, I want you to have your palms facing you and
Oh.
cross your wrist. Yeah. And then go right on your collarbone. That's a good place. And then our last spot,
Uh-huh.
we're finally getting to our spot, is about 4 inches under your arm, and you're going to give your ribs a good thumping. So about
Ooh.
4 inches down, and thump those ribs. Now those are all the spots we're going to tap. So now we're
Okay.
going to add words. But before
Okay.
we add words, I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. Are you ready?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Okay. I want you to think, because we're just doing a short demo, I want you to think of just a real, something little that kind of irritates you.
Okay. There's lots
Okay,
of
now,
things. There's lots of things, but I'll try to pick one. All right. I
okay,
think I
now,
got it. Okay.
okay. And here's the interesting thing, Elizabeth. You don't have to tell me what it is. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to, and this still works. So you can think of it, but when you think of it, I want to ask you, when you think of that small irritating thing, how does it make you feel? What emotion is coming up? What negative emotion is coming up?
Anxiety, panic, discomfort.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I may not be so little. So you said anxiety and panic. Which one is stronger, anxiety or panic?
Mm-hmm.
Which one? You got to pick one.
Anxiety. Anxiety.
Anxiety. Okay. Okay, great. And when you think of, when was the last time that you had this small irritation?
Yesterday.
Yesterday? Okay, yesterday you had this small
Mm-hmm.
irritation causing you anxiety. So the next question is, from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes, when you think about
Mm-hmm.
that incident yesterday and it causes your anxiety, where do you feel that anxiety in your body?
Oh, listen, it's all here. I hold it all. In my shoulders. I
In your
just had this.
shoulders.
Yes.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
had this no lie, with my chiropractor. She's like, "Oh, you're always tense up here." And I jokingly said, "Oh, I hold all my tension in my shoulders." And then when I thought about it, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I do hold all my tension in my shoulders."
You know, and that's pretty common, Elizabeth. That's a pretty common place for people to hold their tension. So the next question is from 0 to 10, where 0 is like, no big deal, I can get over it. And 10 is the most anxiety you've had in your entire life. Where is the level of anxiety for this irritation that happened yesterday?
I'll say A 6.
A 6. Okay, good, good, good. So the next question is, um, is this a true statement? Right here, right now, I feel safe.
Yeah, right now, right here, I feel safe.
Good. And then the last question is, if I say something and you go, not quite true, or I'd use different words, will you restate it in your own words?
Yes,
Okay, we're ready to go. You ready?
I am.
Okay, we're going to start on the side of the hands, and those that are watching, you can tap along with us. It's called borrowing benefits. You may feel an energy shift yourself. Okay, Elizabeth, if you could repeat after me and say, even though,
Even though,
when I think about what happened yesterday,
when I think about what happened yesterday,
I have some anxiety in my shoulders.
I have some anxiety on my shoulders.
Right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
Oh, we paused a little bit. So last thing I heard was anxiety in my shoulders.
Okay, right here, right now, I feel safe anyway.
Right now, right here, I feel safe anyway.
Okay, we're going to repeat that 2 more times.
Even though,
Thinking about yesterday
thinking about yesterday
and that small irritation,
and that small irritation,
I feel all this anxiety in my shoulders.
feel all this anxiety in my shoulders.
And right here, right now, I feel safe.
And right here, right now, I feel safe.
Last time,
Even though
I have anxiety in my shoulders.
I have anxiety in my shoulders.
When I think about yesterday
When I think about yesterday
and that small incident,
and that small incident,
right here, right now, I feel safe.
right here, right now, I feel safe.
And then on the top of your head, you tap and say, oh, this anxiety in my shoulders.
Oh, this anxiety in my shoulders.
And then on the edge of your eyebrows, you tap and say, this anxiety in my shoulders.
This anxiety in my shoulders.
And then on the side of the eye, between the eye and the hairline, you say, this anxiety in my shoulders.
This anxiety in my shoulders.
And then under the eye, this anxiety in my shoulders.
This anxiety in my shoulders.
Then under the nose, above the lips, this anxiety in my shoulders.
This anxiety in my shoulders.
Under the lips, this anxiety in my shoulders.
This anxiety in my shoulders.
And then on the collarbone, this anxiety in my shoulders.
This is so relaxing. This anxiety in my shoulders.
And then on the side of your, bump those ribs and say, this anxiety in my shoulders.
Oh, this anxiety in my shoulders.
And then blow all your air out.
I'm not gonna lie, it was like,
So from 0 to 10 now, when you think about that small incident yesterday, and the anxiety it had in your shoulders, where is it now?
oh, I'm just relaxed. It would be like a 1 or a 0.
That's awesome. Now, what that clinical studies have shown, Elizabeth, is that that particular incident that caused you that anxiety, when that happens again, that anxiety will not return.
Well, good. Because I got to go back there on Monday, Katie.
Oh. Now, you could have separate aspects of it. I'll give you an example. I had a 6'4" Air Force colonel I was talking to, and he said, I hate spiders. And I said, okay, what is it about spiders you hate? He said, I hate having to walk through all their cobwebs. And he was a rancher, so that was a big deal. And I said, okay, let's tap on you not liking going through the cobwebs. Well, we tapped on it, and just like you, it went down to like nothing. And I said, oh, that's great. We're done. I saw him a few weeks later, and I said, how you doing? He said, oh, I hate spiders. I went, wait a minute. I thought we cleared this. What's going on? And he said, oh, I have no problem walking through their cobwebs anymore. He said, I hate the way they move with their legs and everything. So what may happen when you have to go back on Monday is that there may have been one aspect, one part that was causing anxiety. specific you get about what
Mm-hmm.
it was that was causing you anxiety, then the greater the chance that it won't return.
Mm. Katie, like,
Oh
where have you
no, are
been?
you frozen?
I might be a little frozen, but I heard you. But Katie, like, where have you been? Like, I can you still hear
Oh,
me?
okay. My phone froze.
Okay,
Okay.
you're back. You're back with us.
Okay, good. I didn't hear what you said, so start over again.
Yeah, so like where have you been, Katie? Like I could have been tapping and like just woo sign because I find like breathing helps me and stuff like that, but like sometimes I just need something physical to kind of like release. And
Yes,
so I love this. This is
yes,
something like really quick, really easy that you can do.
yes, yes. And I'll tell you, Elizabeth, when people learn it, one of the first questions they ask is, why do we
Mhm.
have to say something negative? I'll share a quick story. My first victim of
Yeah.
volunteer was my husband, and we've been together for, over 40 years. And I said, come sit down here and tell me everything that you feel negative about. Well, he looked at me and he said, this is a trick. He said, for over 30 years, you've been telling me to be positive. I don't have any negative. I'm like, oh, you have negative. And you know what? That positive stuff is not working. So we're going to work on this. Well, he couldn't admit what his negative things were because he had been trained
Mhm.
to be positive all the time. But
Mhm.
because I lived with him, I knew what was bugging him. And so I said, okay, just follow along with me and repeat after me and say something if it's not true,
Mhm.
change. And we went through it and he said, well, that didn't work. I said, okay, that's fine. He came home from work the next day and I said, how was work? He said, it was great. I said, well, for weeks you've been complaining about this client.
Mhm.
How did that go? He said, oh, I took care of them. I'm an expert. I said, well, you've been having a lot of problems with your computer and the technology. How'd that go? He's like, oh, and it was a little bit of a blip, but I got help and I got right through it. I said, well, there was a couple of vendors you were really upset with, and I know you came home, swearing about them and you'd never use them again. I said, what happened to that? He said, oh, no problem. I'm a professional. I took care of it. So I looked at him and I said, so tapping didn't work? And he said, oh, no,
Nothing negative.
no,
Yeah.
it was all him.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And it's interesting how just a little bit of self-care, of just taking that moment to just focus on you, dealing with that emotion can help you move on through. And so that is so amazing. And like do you and I also I can see how even in a Zoom setting, right? So like video to video, you don't have to be in the same room with someone. It's something that they can do on their own and you can walk them through. And so that is awesome as well.
I literally
How
have
did the
clients.
like mhm.
I have clients all over
Yep,
the
I was gonna
world.
ask you about that. Go
Uh,
ahead.
yeah, I have clients all over the world. A mother in Switzerland had seen my TEDx talk on math anxiety and hired me to help her son, who was in prep school in Belgium. And so we did tutoring and tapping, and he's doing great. And even before COVID hit, I've had clients all over the world. I had a client in Mexico that I helped. He had lost like 75 pounds, and
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't sit down and enjoy a meal because he was so scared every time he ate that he
Mm-hmm.
was going to eat too much and gain that weight back. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I had, I've had clients in Canada and Spain. I had a gentleman in Spain who was really struggling with love losses. England, a lot of Indonesian. So yeah, it's really
Oh my gosh,
amazing.
so you're like international, Katie. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. And the courses that I offer are all by Zoom as well. So
Mm.
for yeah, so people want to learn all the nuances. What we did is called the basic recipe, but there's lots of other parameters on it. And also to know when to use tapping and when not to use tapping. Um,
Can you give us an example in case there's someone out there that's concerned that like maybe they shouldn't use tapping?
Yeah, so I have had some clients that were depressed a lot, and I won't work with them unless their therapist recommends it because I'm a mathematician. And so, there's that situation. I have found that sometimes people's panic and anxiety is so high that we really can't tap. And so we have something called emotional first aid to
Mm-hmm.
help just kind of get them down to a point where we can have a conversation and we can work on the tapping. So, yeah, there's a lot to it.
Mm, absolutely. And I also think it shows the power of touch. You know what I mean? And, we underestimate how, like, a hug or just kind of like holding yourself and all of that, the importance of it. And all you're doing is using your own touch to kind of self-soothe and to regulate. And I think that's very interesting.
You're absolutely right. And my part, a lot of the emotional first aid is much more touching, like the
Mm-hmm.
butterfly wings to
Mm-hmm.
calm down, or the
Yeah.
self-happening
Mm-hmm.
humming. And so there's so much that you do and the touch is so important because of the hypothesis is it's all based on traditional Chinese medicine and the
Mm-hmm.
use of meridians, which a lot of people say, well, that's that's another world. And it turns out only a few years ago, a researcher at Auburn University found very small lines throughout our body
Mm-hmm.
that replicate where the meridians come and go. And they are invisible to the eye
Yeah.
until you tap on them and then
Oh,
they
wow.
turn yellow.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, so even though we may not understand or can adequately explain why this is working, it may just be because we don't have enough information, which actually is going to be the theme for my next TEDx talk that I'm giving in January. Mhm.
Oh, wow. So tell us about your last talk, and then I want to circle back because you said you had some courses, so I want to hear about those, but tell us about your TED Talks.
So my first TEDx talk was in 2017, and it was about eliminating math anxiety. I have almost 70,000 views and over 300 comments. And Elizabeth, it's the comments that really hit me. So many students are posting and saying, I wish I'd known this earlier. A few students are saying, I use this. One student was cute. He said, I use this and my calculus test, I got a D instead of an F. And I think that's a real, yeah. It's
Listen,
like,
that's
yeah, that's right.
progress.
Yeah, exactly. And then so many sad, sad stories from other parts of the world of people saying because they couldn't get their math correctly, their mother or their father would beat them
Mm,
and because they couldn't get it right. And my heart breaks um,
mm-hmm.
because I know that math can be easy and I know that math can be beautiful. And for someone to come away with that feeling. So I
Mm,
encourage everybody to try the tapping for all the different reasons.
absolutely. And then the courses, how can we find them and what are the courses?
So I'm a punster. My last name is Nall, Nall. So my website is Nall Edge Company. So it's NALLEDGECO.com. So knowledgecompany.com. And
Oh.
you can find out about some of the courses I do. I can offer training in level 1, level 2, and level 3. One is a prerequisite for another, along with mentoring and case studies. But level 1 is enough for you to understand how to do tapping for yourself, your family, and your friends. If you want to become certified so that you can take on clients, then you have to complete level 2 to be certified for that. I also offer a mastermind, an abundance mastermind, which has been um, surprisingly successful. Uh, it's comprised of daily emails of journal prompts along with tapping to clear the financial blocks that we that we create for ourselves, you know, the things that we've been told all our lives. I've had more than one person say, wow, I never really considered all of these things that were blocking me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's been really great. And I have a new program coming out next month called 8 with Kate, where every week a 8-minute video will be dropped for $8 a month, and and it'll be an opportunity for us to relate, to educate, and to masticate together. We're gonna have fun. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I lost you just for a minute. So the 8-minute videos, $8. That's awesome. And you said, oh, I should have wrote it down. You talked about a blockage. And I think that is interesting as well, because I think it highlights how our body holds on to stuff. And again, we don't release it, so we internalize it. And we know through studies of how trauma and how hardship affects our body. It literally hurts us from the inside out. So sometimes we see that anger or that frustration, but like there's all this other stuff going inside. And so very interesting.
You're absolutely right, Elizabeth. And, you know, before the pandemic, people were saying that 80% of medical visits are stress related. And once
Right.
we learn how to control our
Mm,
emotions, instead of
right.
having our emotions controlling us,
Mm-hmm.
we can we can actually do so much more. We can think clearer, we can make better
Mm-hmm.
decisions, we can be
Mm-hmm.
higher productive, we can be more focused.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend. This tapping is very popular in other countries, very popular, and especially popular in countries that have universal health care. And the
Mm.
reason why is
Yeah.
because it's so much less expensive to teach people how to manage their stress than it is to hand out prescriptions. Um,
Correct.
I was speaking to someone this week who was from a country that had universal health care, and she had a cough or something. It wasn't COVID related, but she just needed to see a physician. And when she got in, she asked the physician how are things are going, and the physician said over 90% of the patients that are coming in right now are basically stressed. That's it. They're
Mm.
stressed. And you and I both know the stress, the fear, the panic that is, if people aren't experiencing it, it's only because they're not watching the news. You
Mm-hmm.
know? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you definitely have opened up my mind to just how a little bit of just touch and just, and so thank you so very much. Um, Dr. Katie Nall, before I ask you my last question, please, is there any last words you want to share? Anything else that you think that we should know?
Yes, thank you for asking, Elizabeth. I really do believe that our health and our welfare is our personal responsibility. And so the more we
Right.
know, the more we can learn. And learning something simple like tapping can make a huge difference in people's lives. So I would encourage them to do whatever they need to do to be able to educate themselves.
Absolutely. And I love how you said it's our own responsibility, right? Because I think that reminds us that we have to take care of ourselves, right? Like we take care of everyone else and we, take on other priorities like your job, but like your wellness is your responsibility. And it's important to make that a priority on the responsibility list. And so thank you for coming by to remind us of that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Dr. Katie, my last question is what's in your cup? And this is where I ask my guests and my listeners, what 3 things do you need to have a better day and a better week? While you think of yours, I'll give you mine. Listeners, put it in the comments. If you're watching at a later time, please put it in the comments. What do you need today to have a better day or to get through your weekend? And for me, I am adding peace, wellness, and you know what? I want to do some reading this weekend. I think if I can add and will keep this peace and this serenity add that wellness of just taking care of myself, putting myself as a priority. I got a little sloppy with that. You know, I kind of stepped away. And when I do prioritize me, I end up being able to function better. So keeping in mind wellness and adding some reading, I think that I will feel nice and complete and my emotional cup will be full. Katie, what do you need? What are three things you're adding to your day or to your weekend?
Well, first of all, I love the question, and I love your analogy of an emotional cup. So my emotional cup, I'm hoping that I will be able to see and be with and play with two of my five granddaughters. So that's one thing. And I actually, um, getting a hug. Always. So I can never have enough hugs. Where they say we need 7 to 9 hugs a day. So add on those hugs. I'll take them. And in this day and time, I take the Zoom and the live hugs. So that
Yeah.
would be another thing. And I love my Epsom salt baths. They're
Oh,
so relaxing. So yeah, those would be my three things. Thank you for asking.
not a problem. Thank you for coming, and please, when it gets closer to your TEDx talk, let me know so I can share it with the listeners. And best of luck. And if there's anything else you want to share, please come on back. You are always more than welcome.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. It's my pleasure, and I really appreciate what you're doing and getting the word out on all of this. Thank you.
Not a problem. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thanks.